Thank you. I am super excited to be here today. This is my 14th Dreamforce. So that would be hashtag perfect attendance. Yes, I remember the Dreamforce when I was 9 months pregnant and standing in the showroom booth. I was at Eloqua at the time. And then I remember the following year when I was still breastfeeding, and this was in 2005. And that was pre-awareness of women in technology and business. And I had to find a place to plug in my pump. If I'm being too human, let me know. So hopefully that gave you all a little giggle and a little visual, which is part of what I want to do today. Because usually when you meet a sales professional, which I am a sales professional trapped in a marketer's body. My buyer was marketing for over a decade when I was at Eloqua, and to be able to be an effective sales professional, you have to really know thy buyer. And so I knew marketing as well as I knew how to do professional selling. The challenge with sales professionals and why so many universities don't teach sales, I went to undergraduate business school at the University of Virginia. I studied marketing, finance, accounting, computer sciences, leadership, entrepreneurship, but nothing about sales. There are only about 100 universities that teach anything about sales, and even fewer that offer any degree related to it. And the reason is this. Daniel Pink, he wrote the book To Sell Is Human. He's right about a lot of things. He's right that when people were asked, the first word that comes to mind when they picture a sales professional, it's pushy, it's sleazy, it's annoying, difficult. What Daniel Pink was wrong about is he said that sales has changed more in the past 10 years than the past 100. He's wrong. The buyer has changed more in the past 10 years than the past 100. Marketing has been evolving and adapting. They have gone digital. They have gone social. They're incorporating different kinds of content that is aligned to the buyer persona, to the buyer's journey. They're using content that is edutaining, that is visually appealing, that is emotional, that is human. They're using formats like video, interactive video, personalized video. Sales, largely, is stuck, selling the same way that they sold 10, 20, 40 years ago. And the reality is that if sales doesn't adapt to the digitally driven, socially connected, mobile empowered, overwhelmed, inundated buyer, they're going to become invisible to the buyer, and they're going to become irrelevant to the buyer. So what is a true sales professional? What are the attributes and characteristics of an A player? This is from a Forrester research report on the digital B2B Salesforce reboot. And what they found, the characteristics of the category of sellers that is growing, they refer to that as the consultant seller. The characteristics is someone who embraces technology, someone who shares new ideas, exhibits business acumen, leverages data, seeks collaboration, communicates effectively. I think one of the other aspects is insatiable curiosity. The world is changing at such a rapid pace that if your sales professionals don't embrace a culture of learning, of continuous development, again, they will become invisible and irrelevant to the modern, empowered, overwhelmed, inundated buyer. So I work with a lot of organizations, and I see a move from hiring really expensive field professionals to hiring a lower cost, right out of college, called a BDR or an SDR or even inside sales reps. And what's happening is that we're asking these new college graduates who have zero business experience, who have no sales acumen, to break through to this buyer who is allergic to being sold. And what we're equipping them with are standard templates for call scripts and for emails. And we're actually helping them because now we found technology that will automate a sequence of well-timed emails, scripted, that appear to come from that sales professional. And so we're helping them get their numbers up. And we're teaching them call email, call email, call email, call email. And the buyer is going ignore, delete, ignore, delete, ignore, delete, ignore, delete. In particular, when those emails look like these. So I see, and I bet if I opened this up to sharing, there would be an endless supply of examples of really crappy emails. There's manipulation, there's deceit, there's trickery, there's anger, there's harassment, there's begging, there's cute jokes that if you haven't responded to my earlier 14 emails, you must be trapped under a rhinoceros, or is it a hippopotamus? I can't remember which. There's all of this activity, and if this one, this one is, I'm in the RE, so it looks like that we've actually had a conversation. I'm not in the 2 line, there's a blind BCC, so there's lots of people on this email. He's actually said that he's left me another message. He's really not lying. He has, I just don't check my voicemail anymore. In fact, I was sitting back there and I decided to call my office line, because I don't check my voicemail on my office line anymore. And I just wanted to call it to see if there were any voicemails that I could play for you in real time of examples of what not to do. I guarantee after you're scanned by the 400 partners, the exhibitors here at Dreamforce, you're gonna get a lot more call, email, call, email, call, email, call, email. And that's just not gonna get your attention. It's actually going to bother you. It's having a negative brand impression. His best, not really. This is not really his best. Some other examples. Hi, Jill, thanks for your interest. I must have downloaded a white paper. I'd love the opportunity to chat with you to gain an understanding of what your social needs are. Dude, go to my Twitter, @Jill_Rowley. Go to my LinkedIn, right? You've given me nothing of any relevance. You have not shown any interest in me. You have just shown an interest in selling to me. To be interesting, you must be interested. in something other than your product, your company, your pitch, your number. So I don't respond. 2 days later, another email. Just wanted to follow up. See if you had a few minutes to speak this week. Love to learn more about your social media strategy. See if I have a fit for our platform. I have 0 employees. I'm not buying a platform. Other examples. It's Raphael from AMW Interactive in Miami. I like Miami. I'd like to refer customers to you. You don't even know who I am. You're going to refer customers to me? I've added you to my network. Really? A free site, free, for exchanging customer referrals, recommendations, gaining business insights. You've shown me nothing to the effect. You haven't shown me a single business insight about me. Simply click, add me to your network, thanks. Oh wait, unsubscribe me, please report me. This is an automated generic email talking about business insights, and it has none of it. This is terrible. Just following up on the email I sent last week about an opportunity to promote your blog. I don't have a blog. To 200,000 lifelong learners. That's interesting. By creating an email course. I hate email. I say email's the cockroach of the internet. The thing about email is everybody can send it, and now everybody has everybody else's email address, and so there's way too much email. The abuse of the use of email is widespread. I borrowed, one of the things I say, content is a cornerstone of what you've heard today around social selling. In the spirit of, I'm down with OPC. Yeah, you know me. I'm down with other people's content. So in the spirit of OPC, oh, and by the way, R&D, rip off and duplicate. Oh, and ROI, it's not the return on investment, it's the risk of ignoring. Mindset. So we took something that we all know and we shifted it to think about it from a different perspective. This is a baker's dozen, 13 deadly sales emails. And this is by Peter Ostro. I've been following him for years. The other people's content that I'm down with and that your sales professionals could be down with is content from the smarty pants people in your buyer's world. So think about who are the experts, right? So my buyer's world is sales enablement. And so today, in the earlier session, there's a magazine on e-learning, and there's an article, The Secret to Sales Enablement, and it profiles experts in sales enablement. And so instead of sending email that I'm going to show you here, what I would do is I would look at these individually, these experts, look them up on LinkedIn, congratulate them for being honored in this magazine, ask them for the honor to be connected in their network on LinkedIn, see if they're on Twitter, follow them on Twitter, see if they've tweeted something of interest of recent, and maybe retweet or like or comment on that. People's attention is what we're competing for. And the attention factor in email is very low. We go in and we want to hit delete, right? So that's an example of doing something that might stand out versus doing this. Don't worry about writing a good grammar sentence. Chances are your recipient also reads and writes in poorly spelled and worded ways. Copy the recipient's boss. on everything. This will light a fire under them and guarantee they come to think of you as a trusted advisor. Quote statistics out the wazoo. Regardless of how appropriate they are, you will look like a thought leadery type of person. Make sure you start off with a lighthearted personal note. For example, your new LinkedIn picture makes you look so thin. You can use that one on me. I wouldn't be upset. Reference inane quotes from ancient scholars. For example, coffee is for closers. I actually say coffee is for connectors. And I also say ABC always be connecting, not necessarily with everyone. Include all logos linked to your social media groups, memberships, affiliations. This makes you look connected, and now prospects can see those Vegas pictures. A couple more. BCC a bunch of prospects with the same message. Don't personalize, just say hi, or better yet, hi friend. Prospects will appreciate how efficient you are at wasting their time. If the prospect's name can be shortened, do it, especially with people you've never met. Peters love being called Pete by people they've never met. This will endear you to the prospect. So this was actually posted on LinkedIn as a Pulse article. And so when I commented, I said, great job, Pete, with a winky face. Right? Human, trying to be funny. He got the joke. Start your email by saying, I know your time is valuable. Then why are you wasting it? And then ask for 20 minutes, because everybody has an extra 20 minutes in their day to discuss some product or service that is budgeted and purchased several levels down or above. If you are selling email lists of accounting software users, start with the COO. He can point you in the right direction. Everybody asks, if you're not the right person, can you direct me to someone who is? If I don't know you, I'm not directing you to anybody. I'm protecting my network, not opening it. Tell the prospect that your director isn't in town and would like to meet. Don't pre-qualify the prospect's needs or purpose of the meeting. Your director being in town is enough reason to meet. So I want you to keep this in mind when I show you an alternative. I got an email from this guy, Michael Litt. He's the CEO of a company called Vidyard. Anybody in the room heard of Vidyard? So what you might not know about Vidyard, they've expanded their product offering. Originally they started out, I don't want to go way too back of what they originally started out as, but they're a B2B video hosting, tracking, publishing platform, mainly used for marketers who do high volume video. And they want to know the ROI of that video. Are people watching the videos? Are they watching multiple videos? Are they watching the entire video? You can customize the player's skin. You can create a call to action within a video. And they also do personalized video, mail merge for video. Imagine getting in a campaign an email with a video with a trophy with your name subscribed on it, or a present with your name on the name tag. That they do that at scale. But one of the things that they've realized is that video is an effective channel for sales professionals in trying to be more human, more personable. And so they have the ability now for salespeople to send video and with the same tracking capability. And one of the things about being useful to someone and leading with value, the video can actually be the salesperson commenting on that customer's website, or maybe you sell newsletter, email newsletter, and you could talk about how to improve their newsletter. So video is a very effective way. If I see my name, I'm likely going to click. I want to talk about some other aspects of sales professionals and how the profession is changing. Table stakes is sales acumen. And I don't even think we're doing a good enough job of training our salespeople on how to do prospecting, how to run a discovery call, how to run a demo, how to do objection handling, how to compete with competitive differentiation, how to negotiate. So that is table stakes today. Increasingly more, salespeople need business acumen. They need to understand what's going on in their customer's world. And they always need to be looking at things through the eyes of the customer. Know, like, and trust isn't enough anymore. People don't just buy from people they know, they like, they trust. They buy from people they're going to get value from. And you have to earn trust more today online before the sales conversation can begin. So the rebirth of the salesperson, if buying has changed more in the past 10 years than the past 100, and sales hasn't really, we're overdue for change. We really have to think about this new buying environment, and like McKinsey said, you have to sell the way that your customers want to buy. There's a lot of stats out there around how far the buyer is through their buying process, what % is being done digitally, how many people are part of the buying committee, what % of buyers are using social media. And then there's also ways to teach your sales professionals how to better do research on their buyers, to better know their buyers, to be more visible to their buyers, to help their buyers, to understand their business needs. Basically, unfortunately, what we're finding is that salespeople aren't spending enough time selling. They're spending too much time doing administrative work. There's a lot of technology, but for some reason, the technology is not making us more productive. It's actually bogging us down. And so we have to find ways to actually help salespeople filter through all of this information. Not only is the modern buyer overwhelmed and inundated, so is the modern seller. And so sales enablement plays a really important role in terms of orchestrating and prioritizing what it is a sales professional, the knowledge, the skills, and the assets that the sales professional needs to have the right customer conversation or interaction. Knowledge is power. And the data shows that sales professionals that do more research, do a better job of understanding the customer, are able to win more business. A couple of my mantras are know thy buyer, be visible and valuable to thy buyer, be the best advocate of your buyer. So what I want to talk a little bit about is acumen. Acumen, functional and individual level. I need to know Phil Cleary. It's Philip to you, it's Phil to me. That was funny, right? Going back to the whole email thing, Peter, Pete. I need to know Phil Cleary. And so I go to my best friend Google and I type in Phil Cleary Salesforce. It takes me to his LinkedIn profile. It takes me to his Twitter account. I can understand his identity. I understand our mutual connections. And I understand his interest based on the kinds of content that he's sharing and that he's engaging with. I even know where he is if he's tweeting that he's at certain events. At a company level, I need to understand his company and the transformation that his company is going through, the competitive landscape, the shifting of the competitive landscape of his company, and I need to understand at an industry level as well. So I'm working with GE, do a lot of work with them. They're moving from being an industrial company to being a digital industrial company. I need to know what digital industrial means. I was doing a Know Thy Buyer presentation for a company called PGI. And the EVP of sales and service and customer success, Scott Tapp, I was able to find out a lot of information about him. And what I did to get his attention, he was interviewed for Sales Benchmark Index podcast. I listened to that podcast to understand more about his organization. And then I shared that piece of content on LinkedIn and I tagged Scott Tapp. That was not like the emails that I showed you at the beginning. I actually listened and did research and I amplified and promoted him and his message through my social networks, getting his attention. GE, same thing. I follow their CMO on Twitter. I follow all of the key stakeholders. I'll tell a quick story about Jim Fowler, their CIO. The other day, I saw an article about GE winning #1 corporate university. I took a picture of that, I tweeted it, I tagged a number of people at GE, including Jim Fowler. He retweeted it in real time. I was notified of that. I DM'd Jim Fowler on Twitter, mentioned a project I wanted to work with him on. He said, I'm at an event until 5 p.m. Can you talk at 5? Hell yes, I can talk at 5. The phone is not dead, but I wasn't gonna get his attention by trying to get the CIO of GE on the phone. To be interesting, be interested in something other than yourself. These are new ways of work. I'm running out of time, so this is another example of Brocade. We're working on a social selling initiative with them. My champion copied like 6 other people in the email. I went and looked up each of those people on LinkedIn. One of them was Judy. Judy is in HR. She does HR for sales. I had just read the B2B Digital Salesforce reboot about the characteristics and competencies and capabilities of the modern seller. So I didn't sell her an article on social selling or send her an article on social selling. I sent her something that would help her in her job. I'm trying to earn credibility. This takes time and effort. I'll end with a couple of things that I read, watch, and listen and attend. I am an insatiable learner. I am a passionate teacher, and your salespeople need to be too. If your buyers are allergic to being sold, but everyone needs help, if your salespeople embrace a mindset of helping, of providing value, of earning someone's attention, they will be much more successful, especially in the long term. I'll invite you to connect with me on LinkedIn using a personalized invite to connect.